Hello creative friends, Megan here with the Cannon Beach Arts Association. Today we're going to be learning about painting with found materials. A great way to get started with today's project is to take a look around your space in your home and see if there's any interesting materials that you might be able to use to paint with. In my home, I found some really interesting things. I found this textured piece that's used to grow herbs in the garden, an egg carton, recycled paper from a package I received, paper straw and toilet paper roll from my recycling bin, and my favorite to use for this painting project, bubble wrap. Okay, let's dive in, and we'll start with our paint. Around my house I had craft paint, but any kind of paint could work, such as acrylic, tempera, or even your homemade paints from last week. I'm starting with the primary colors, which are blue, red, and yellow. I'm also adding white and black to my paint palette. Black and white paint are great to have as part of your painting projects because they are considered neutral colors and can be mixed with your primary and secondary colors to make tints and shades. Okay, I'm going to start by adding the primary colors to my paint palette. Do you remember what those colors are? I'll give you a hint, there's 3 of them. You got it. Our 3 primary colors are blue, red, and yellow. And I'm going to add that white and that black so that I can practice making tints and shades with my 3 primary and secondary colors. So now that I have my 3 primary colors and my black and white for shades and tints, I want to experiment a little bit and see what happens when I mix some colors. I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and add in a little bit of red and mix. What color do you think I'll get? It looks like red mixed with blue makes purple. Let's try it on some paper and see what it looks like. So now I want to experiment and see what happens when I add red and yellow together. Looks like I've made orange. Let's see what it looks like. Now I want to try mixing my yellow with my blue. What color do you think it'll make? Looks like I've created green. Look at that. We've just created secondary colors by mixing the 3 primary colors together. Now let's see what happens when we add some black and some white to our colors. I'm going to take the 3 primary colors of blue, red, and yellow and add a little bit of white to each. When you add the neutral color of white to any other color, you make what's called a tint. This is a great way to lighten up a color for your painting, or even to make some pastel looking colors like you see here. I'm going to test a few out and see how they look on paper. Okay, let's try adding black to some of our colors this time. I'm going to add black to my primary colors again of blue, red, and yellow. When you add the neutral color of black to any other color, you make what's called a shade. It's helpful to remember when adding black, and I learned here when adding it to my yellow, that just a little bit of black goes a long way. You might not want too much, as it may make your paint darker than you were expecting. Now it's your turn to try. Remember, I used blue, red, and yellow, our primary colors, to mix together to make purple, orange, and green, our secondary colors. And I also used black and white to create tints and shades. Now I'm going to add in some other colors just for fun. One of my favorites is teal. I also really liked the green secondary color that was created by mixing blue and yellow, so I'm going to create a little bit more of that here. I'm excited to start painting with my recycled materials. I'm going to start with a cardboard piece from an old box and my favorite to paint with, bubble wrap. I'm also going to need Scotch tape or masking tape. Either will work fine, whatever you have around your house. I'm going to tape the bubble wrap securely down to the cardboard square. Now I have a textured printing area that I can put some paint down on. I'm also going to need some painting tools. Here I have what's called a brayer or a roller. You might not have this at your house, so if you've got some sponge brushes or a regular paintbrush, that should work fine too. I'm going to grab my paint palette and my painting utensils, and I'm going to either brush or roll on some of the colors that I've created onto the bubble wrap. Now it's time to make a print. I'm using computer paper that I just had around the house, and I'm pressing firmly down on the paint and the bubble wrap. I created a print of interesting circular shapes using just the bubble wrap and my paint. Now I'm going to add some more colors just to create a little bit of contrast on my print. Now I'm going to grab some of my other recycled materials from earlier to see if I can create some more prints using interesting line, shape, and color. Don't forget to turn over and check out different sides of your materials. There might be some surfaces that will create some really interesting prints. I'm going to try out this toilet paper roll with some blue. I think it's going to make a really interesting circular shape. How about this paper straw to try out a smaller circular shape? Or a wooden stick to try out a medium circular shape. I also found these mini recycled sauce cups. Can you guess what my favorite shape to use in my paintings is? What are some of your favorite shapes that you could use in your own found materials painting project? Using this paper egg carton was a fun discovery and created some really unique shapes. Crumpled up paper made the perfect crinkly paintbrush. This last one was fun to experiment with my roller brush. I liked playing around with it and just adding paint, rolling it around, and seeing what kind of texture I could get out of this rectangular shape. Look at this print. It created all sorts of squiggly lines. A whole collection of different shapes and lines and textures using primary and secondary colors. I had so much fun being a discoverer around my house, finding recycled materials to paint with. What will you find around your house to use? Thanks for making with me today, and don't forget to share what you create.